Is the NFL rigged? That's the talk on TikTok. That's what they're saying on Instagram. There have been news media outlets discussing this. Teddy and I will take that apart a little later in the show. Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. I'm Lawrence Presman. Today's show, Adam Trigger, Mark at the Gym Zinno, and Kevin the Irishman Dolan. We got a lot of hoops to discuss and a boxing bet for you all. Teddy Covers is my co-host. Let's bring Adam Trigger in right now, the youngest looking old guy we know. How are you, Adam Trigger?
I'm great, Prez. I'm way better than I was last week when I was on the show, when you were telling the chat to calm down. I think I'm 10-2 in my last 12 college basketball plays. Both 5%ers have won since then. The only 5% basketball plays I've given out in 2024. Last night with Air Force, they were an 11-point dog. They won by like 30. Had Hofstra the night before. So it's going good. Rolling the last 2 days, and got one client play to share with you. The other one's up for $5. So hopefully we keep it going today.
Beautiful. Speaking of $5, it is Customer Appreciation Day over at WagerTalk. Every handicapper has taken one play and made it $5. Take advantage of that. We'll tell you what I'm doing a little later on in the show. And Adam, yeah, look, dude, it was easy to stand up for you last week in the chat room. I think you're an exceptional handicapper. I don't know what the three guys were going on about. I look at your college basketball plays every single day. Not much better in that sport particular, so congratulations. Teddy Covers, get some actionable info out of this gentleman.
Sure, let's talk some college hoops with Adam Trigger, who is on fire right now, and I was with you on Air Force last night. That, my friend, was a right side. When you're turning off the game midway through the second half because your double-digit underdog is up by 30, that's what you want to see. Let's talk another Mountain West Conference game for tonight. Nevada and Colorado State. Looking at the Wager Talk live odds screen right now, I'm seeing the Wolfpack 3-point home favorites, total sitting in the 144 range. What do you want to do, Nevada, Colorado State?
Well, Teddy, just the handle alone on this game lets me know that a lot of people, maybe more than ever, listen to like shows like this, sports betting content, etc. Because I think what you're going to hear thrown around on a whole bunch of shows today is the unranked home favorite against the ranked road underdog. It's almost become like a narrative at this point. I think books have it priced into the number, especially because it's hit a little bit this year. So this is no different than last year when you heard it thrown around a lot, but it wasn't cashing last year. That's the difference. Last year, a lot of these road ranked dogs were winning. This year, they're really not. But I still I try not to let that really factor into my sort of handicap here. And I think if you can block out the noise a little bit, I don't think there's any way Colorado State should be +3 in a matchup with Nevada, even one that's in Reno. I understand that Mountain West home teams have a home advantage. I was up at 2 of them a couple weeks ago. I got to see Colorado State play at Moby Arena, and I'll agree, like that definitely was one of the better home courts that I've been to. But again, I still think Colorado State's the better team here, so they can't be getting 3, in this game, in my opinion. So the one thing that sort of kept this one off my client card, Teddy, is like the desperation factor. Nevada is in that desperate sort of spot where they've lost 3 in a row. This is a team that started 15-1 and now have lost 3 straight. They also have a road game coming up at New Mexico, which, as we know, is no easy task. So you lose this one, and you're kind of staring like free fall mode in the face a little bit. So I think you could use that to sort of make an argument for the home team. But I keep coming, back to the fact that, entering the season, I had Colorado State rated the highest of any of these teams in the Mountain West, and they really haven't done anything but kind of hold serve. Like, their 2 losses are on the road to Utah State, on the road to Boise State. I'm not going to give them much, flack for either of those. Those are tough places to play. They've won the 3 home games. This is a team that beat BC, Creighton, Colorado, and Washington in non-conference. And they're just, in my opinion, Teddy, they're the better team. They're second nationally with shooting 51.4% from the field. They're a top 33-point shooting team. They move the ball as good as any team in this conference. And I got to be honest, I've seen, God, I don't even know how many games of how many different teams in person so far this year. Isaiah Stevens is the most impressive point guard I've watched play in person. And I've seen Baylor play. I've seen Duke play, Kansas State, Providence, big teams, small teams. Isaiah Stevens is as good as it gets at this position. 17.2 points per game. He's an elite passer. Colorado State could struggle on the with Nevada's bigs, but at the same time, Nevada could struggle with those quick Colorado State guards. In the end, I just thought 3 was too many. There was even some 3.5s out there. I like the points with the Rams here.
So you talked about the strength of Colorado State's home court. Let's talk about Lawler Event Center for a minute, because this has been a pretty strong home court for the Wolfpack long term. And I believe they're undefeated on that floor this year, if my numbers are correct. Do you worry at all about the home court in Reno being worth every bit as much as the home court in Fort Collins is worth?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been to Reno, so I can't give the personal sort of follow up there. But no, there's no question. Like, they've been great at home. Typically, it's got a strong home court atmosphere. But okay, so let's say I give them 3 points for home court. I still make Colorado State the favorite in this game. So even if I was to give Nevada a bump for home court, I still come up with Colorado State, being less than a 3-point underdog. Again, Teddy, both of these teams are 0-4 against the spread coming into this game. So both of these teams have failed to cover their last 4 games. That's a spot where, man, I would have loved Colorado State in a spot against a team that maybe was a little less desperate than Nevada. But just from a sheer numbers perspective, and the fact that I think Colorado State's the better team, this was one that kind of just missed for me. I wouldn't be dying to lay it with the Wolfpack here. I think the right side is probably Colorado State.
Adam Trigger joining us, everyone. Exclusive handicapper at WagerTalk.com. Adam, you're a young guy, at least a hell of a lot younger than me. Nathan T says Lauren smokes DMT. What is DMT?
I couldn't tell you. I wouldn't even
Teddy?
be able to wager a guess. I thought all the young kids vape, Prez. I don't know. I don't know what DMT is.
I don't know what DMT is, but I'm game, man. If it gets me high, bring it on.
Prez, how have you not run into that at a dead show or something? I figured it must be something real weird if we don't know what it is.
Do mushrooms, acid, and weed, bro. And I happen to have partaken in all 3 of those, not together. I have combined 2. But when I did acid, it was a standalone trip. Adam Trigger, it is $5 customer appreciation day at WagerTalk. Before we get into your next play, what do you got going?
Yeah, so I came on ready to talk about this game. But first, I guess, so for $5, I put a play up for $5, a 4% play. I thought it was going to be my only play for the day. And then the one I was going to come on here and talk about, Prez, I just like too much to leave it off. So I'm going to give you the other 4% play on the show. So really, you get both of my college basketball plays, at least both that I have posted so far, for $5. So $2.50 each, if you look at it that way, because I'm giving you one for free. But that one's up on my page right now. And again, college hoop has been great lately. 10-2 run, 4-1 yesterday. I had a bunch of action yesterday, and we went 4-1. So hopefully we continue that going today.
Okay. One guy bitching out, never buying picks again, $2 picks socked, garbage. Another guy, I'm getting killed on these on these discounted picks. Guys, we go through this all the time. We cannot win on demand. We win over a long period of time. It is very hard to win in sports betting. About 3% of all sports bettors win consistently year in, year out. 3%. If you want to buy picks, and you should, just like you use a stockbroker, buy long term. Adam Trigger, You got a money line bet on Western Carolina. Tell us why.
So, Prez, I was down in North Carolina last week. Both of these schools are North Carolina-based teams out of the SoCon. I actually went and saw UNC Greensboro play at the Greensboro Coliseum in a game that they won easily. And I guess that's where I'll start the handicap here. UNCG, they've kind of coasted through their last two games. Did just enough to beat the Citadel. They crushed Wofford on Saturday. I was at the game. In a spot where they were a pretty big favorite. I actually laid the 7 and cashed in that game. But my biggest takeaway from there was, man, Wofford missed everything. And a lot of those shots were open. I mean, that was a deceiving final score in the respect that, like, UNC Greensboro won by like 25, but Wofford missed open 3 after open 3, shot 37.7% for the game. And Wofford's notably bad defensively. So that's just not going to cut it for them. They have to score because they're going to give up. I think they gave up 82 in that game, and that's kind of like what they do. They're going to give up a lot, score a lot. So Wofford just could not buy a bucket in that game. I see this as a step up in class for UNC Greensboro. So now they're going to have to hit the road, go and play a Western Carolina team that, they kind of just ran into like a buzzsaw the last couple games, losing back-to-back heartbreakers to what I consider to be the two best teams in this league in Samford and Furman. So the desperate spot that we were talking about maybe helping Nevada in the last game we broke down is kind of on the side of Western Carolina here, I feel like, because those are 2 losses against 2 of the better teams in this league. And now Western Carolina staring 3 straight losses in the face if they lose this game to Greensboro. I think Western Carolina bounces back here, Prez. They have had an awesome home court this year in terms of like their fans are very engaged in the program this year. They had one of the best crowds they've had in years for that Samford game like last week. And in a game where, man, Samford had an answer every time Western Carolina cut it to 1. Samford hit a dagger shot. It's a game Western Carolina easily could have won. But that's their only loss at home. They're 7-1 in this building, whereas UNC Greensboro is 5-5. Has lost 5 of 7, so that makes them 2-5 on the road. And also, interesting enough, they're 4-8 against the spread after a win. So they come off of not only a win, but a very convincing win and cover in a game against Wofford over the weekend. Mikel Brown-Jones for UNC Greensboro is a stud, 21.1 points per game. He missed a couple games, so they've been really like sort of cooking since he's got back. But Von Woolbright for Western Carolina can go toe-to-toe there. 21.1 points per game. He's a force in the paint. What it comes down to here is I think Western Carolina is going to get easier buckets through Woolbright in this game. Greensboro does fall in love with the 3 at some point, Prez, where they will start kind of firing up threes. And it makes me think, I wonder why not, if that's why they're not great on the road. It's tough. It's tough to live and die by the 3 on the road in gyms that you don't shoot in all the time. And I just think Western Carolina gets easier buckets here. So Ramsey Center, I expect to have another great crowd tonight. And again, I punched back against the market here, Prez. This one got bet down. I didn't agree with it. So I'm taking what I think is a pretty good number on the money line at -120. I like Western Carolina, the Catamounts, to get it done and avoid their 3rd straight loss at home tonight.
And I'm going to jump in here. Teddy gave me permission to do this follow-up. Thank you, Theodore. I'm not going to ask you specifically about this game. What I'm going to ask you is, Russell Deck, really great listener of ours. He's in the show every day. He writes, Adam Trigger finds the wackiest games. And I want to talk about that for a second, because if you guys play my college basketball and I'm up big units again this year in college, you're playing teams like Lamar, St. Francis. That's where the money is. Adam, talk to us about why you never come on here and give out Duke or Kansas or Kentucky, North Carolina. What's up with these small town teams, and why are they the right teams to look at when betting college basketball? And Teddy, jump in afterwards, because this is a good topic, in my opinion.
So I don't know that it's the smaller teams, but you typically are going to have a little bit more of an edge against the market on teams like, let's say, like a Western Carolina over maybe, a top 25 team where I feel like the odds makers price them pretty accurately. Now, for me, I don't look at it like that. I'm not necessarily targeting small teams, but I really do feel strongly about this point, Prez. There's 362 Division I college basketball teams. It is virtually impossible to have a beat on all of them. And you know what I mean? It's like it's next to impossible. Like I did someone's show earlier today. They asked me about Auburn, Alabama, and I was like, not really sure. I have virtually no opinion on that game. They're two teams that I haven't had a great beat on, so I kind of just pushed it to the side. What I try to do is slim down that 362 to like maybe 50 or 60. And I go to a lot of games. You see me, I'm all over the country attending games. So I tend to gravitate toward the teams I've gotten to see play in person. I feel like you can, pick things up when you're sitting courtside that you might not be able to on TV. So I kind of use that as my edge. So, I don't know if it comes across on TV how open Wofford's shots were on Saturday, where I'm sitting next to my buddy AK and we're watching the game and we're like, man, we both have UNC Greensboro -7. And we're like, man, are they going to guard any of these 3-point shooters? Thankfully, Wofford's missing them. That helped their cause that they were missing. But man, isn't that concerning when they now go to play a team like Western Carolina, who's a top 23-point shooting team in the country? It's stuff like that. So that's really where I get on a team like Western Carolina. And then for me, Prez, some of these smaller conferences in the Northeast are just what I grew up with. I went to Siena. So the MAC is always like, I've been going to Siena games and MAC basketball games since I was 7 years old. I feel like I have a good beat in that conference, maybe more so than the next person. So it's just kind of like trying to stick to what you know. And I think that's the best advice. If you're new to handicapping college basketball, follow the teams in your backyard first. Try to become an expert. If you live in El Paso, Texas, become an expert on UTEP and New Mexico State, because you're probably getting info on those teams via your local media that the rest of the U.S. probably maybe isn't getting at the same time you are. That's all I got on that.
That's well said. Adam Trigger, everybody. Thanks for joining us, my friend. Good luck the rest of the week. Teddy, Adam's right. I mean, from my perspective, don't handicap all of college basketball. Pick a couple of conferences, focus there. The bookmakers have to handicap every game. You don't. Do you play the small market teams or are you, all over the map?
I'm going to answer this question in 4 words. All right. That's all Adam Trigger needed to say. It's all you need to say. It's all I need to say. Bet what you know. That's it. Bet what you know. If you don't know it, don't bet it. If you're not following Lamar and St. Francis, don't get involved in handicapping Lamar and St. Francis. If bet what you know. And that's across sports. That's not unique to college basketball.
It's ultimately why, it's why I bet a lot on Leaf games. It's the team I know the best, and the rhythm of the team is something that is ingrained in me. Teddy, before we get into what did bettors learn, speaking about what do we know, man, yesterday I'm at the gym. I'm working out with a friend, Mike. He's telling me, did you see one of the main television networks put up, Usher is playing at the Super Bowl featuring Baltimore and San Fran. Everybody, the talk of the NFL being rigged is all over the place. It's now on mainstream media. It is such bullshit. I just can't understand that this nonsense has legs. Talk to me about, is the NFL rigged?
So we talked about it, you, Martin, and myself talked about it on the NFL opening line report. We put out a little clip, and the clip got some traction. And I got people telling me all these games are rigged. In fact, I had people that I respect. One of them told me the NFL wants Lamar Jackson this year. It's Lamar Jackson's year. It's Baltimore's week. The other one said the NFL wants Taylor Swift. They want the Swifties. It's going to be the Chiefs again. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I still stand by, this is what I said on the opening line report, and I'll say it again here. You want to tell me games are rigged? Fine. Show me your betting slip before kickoff and the game that was rigged. Do it a couple of weeks in a row, maybe I'll believe you. Otherwise,
well, you're going to go more than a couple of weeks. I mean, anybody could pick one game and just claim that they knew info. But guys, let me tell you the bottom line here.
But the whole no one's done it once, Lawrence. It's not like someone said, "Here, here's a ticket to my bet slip. The calls are going to come for KC this week. I'm betting the Chiefs." No one's done that before kickoff. I only get those. This game was rigged after kickoff. Tell me before who the league wants exactly, and show me your bet. Sorry.
So if the NFL was rigged, there would be, Congress would have them in a Senate committee or Congress committee or whatever. There would be a lot of trouble. If the NFL were rigged, there'd be some athletes. There's thousands and thousands of athletes that have come through that sport. I don't think I can name any of substance or offhand that have come out and said the NFL is rigged. Maybe a disgruntled practice squad guy who, couldn't make it. If the NFL were rigged, how would so many people be able to keep such a secret? It is a complete load of shit. Sorry, Teddy.
But no, so and that's an important point to expound upon for just a moment before we talk about what we learned last night. How many people does it take to make this conspiracy?
Yeah.
All right. You got Goodell, and then you got whoever he charges with it, and then they're going to call down to the refs, and someone's going to say something to someone at the bar. It's not an easy conspiracy to keep quiet for, I don't know, forever.
Yeah.
Someone's going to chat. Someone's going to write a book. Someone's going to give the tell-all, but no one's done it.
Yeah, we got guys.
If you want to believe the NFL is rigged, great.
Refs.
Knock yourself out. Believe the NFL is rigged. Make your bets accordingly. I don't bet that way. I don't choose to think that.
And Joshua Alexander writes it's the refs that are rigging it. No. Firstly, there's many, many refs. It would come out. Secondly, why? Like, what is the motivation of a multi-trillion-dollar corporation willing to destroy its sport by rigging it? It makes no sense. Utter nonsense. Teddy, what did we learn in the wonderful world of sports betting?
Yeah, and refs are just as human as you and I. They will make mistakes like I did last night with my $2 Tuesday play at Sports Memo. Look, I'm using NBA for the $2 Tuesday play. NBA is where I'm hot right now. I've been riding Pacers unders with Halliburton out, but that doesn't get officially announced until after the play is due. Got to be in early, so it's not a factor. I've only got 2 plays on my short list that I like. Knicks minus, Jazz plus. Knicks end up as a free play, hard-fought game. They cover at the end. The Jazz, well, I was worried that New Orleans might be the wrong team to step in front of last night, and they were. It showed before halftime. They nailed 23 three-pointers. They hung 153 on Utah. The play loses. I look like an idiot. My NBA has been great. It's been great for 2 years, and nonetheless, hundreds of buyers. I look like an ass clown. It happens. The free play won. The college play on Air Force, we talked about it with Trigger, won outright by 32 with 11-point dogs. And so it goes. I'm 0-0 today. $5 customer appreciation play locked and loaded right now at WagerTalk.com. But it's worth addressing some of the comments in the forum, in the chat, about I'm never buying a $2 play again. It's crap. WagerTalk rips everyone off. It is what it is, guys. I'm going to put the best play that I see that morning up and available on the rare occasion on the $2 capper. Some of them are going to win. Some of them are going to lose. We push the $2 play because that's where a lot of new customers come from. First-time buyers come in and they check it out. The goal is obviously to grow the customer base. That's the goal of WagerTalk. That's how we put out all this free content, is because we've got customers who are paying the bills behind the scenes. Thank you for that. Lawrence said it right when he said, yeah. If you're looking for long-term profit, buy a long-term package. That being said, we push the $2 plays. We push the 5% plays. I like to win them when I can. Unfortunately, last night was not one of those nights. Lawrence?
I had a worse night than you, my brother. I went 0-3. And again, it happens. Look, I went 8-1 on Saturday. Which day did you buy, people? Was it yesterday or Saturday? Or maybe the smart ones bought 7 days and had both. 8-1, 0-3. Sounds like 8-4 to me. Anyway, Mark Zinno joining us. Mark, thrilled to have you on Wager Talk, man. Okay, dude, you look like an ass. Like, what Tom Hardy called. He wants his traps back. Wow. Dude, how
Prez,
many freaking trap workouts do you do in a week?
Not that many. I'm more of a stretching and cardio guy at this stage of my career.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But Jesus, whoa. I mean, you left me a bit speechless there. Okay, man crush over, or at least on hold. Hey, what can I tell you, dude? That square jaw of yours? Come on. I'm not a crush.
No, it's okay. And let me just add one more note to this conversation for all the people complaining, Teddy and Prez. I mean, if you've taken a 7th grade math class where you learned anything about probability, at the end of the day, this is a binary thing. It's win-loss, right? So if you flip a coin 100 times, you're going to be very close to 50% on each side. That's just the reality of it. So when you talk about the idea of winning on demand and being able to do it long-term, yes, the longer you do it, the more you're going to be at 50-50, but that's where we talk about the guys who can do this well, can get you above that 55 into that 58-60% threshold. And that's really what distinguishes folks at Wager Talk from everybody else out there. I mean, that's just pure probability numbers of it, guys. I mean, everybody has good runs and bad runs. Sometimes you're burning hot, sometimes you're burning cold. I think that's just the reality of a 50-50 proposition, but the idea is to cut through the 50-50, give you a little bit of an edge and an advantage, and find ways to get you into that 55-58%, which is, again, extremely tough to do.
Mark Zinno, well said. Let's get into some NBA. The Milwaukee Bucks -6.5 against Cleveland. Where are you going in this game?
I mean, look, this is a very situational play. We have the Milwaukee Bucks who just fired their head coach, Adrian Griffin. And they're going to have an interim coach. We were hearing the rumors about Doc Rivers going in, but let's just hit the rewind button. 1 week ago today, the Cavs hosted the Bucks in a line in Cleveland that was Bucks -4. Then Giannis was ruled out. Antetokounmpo goes out. The line moves to Cavs -1.5. Cleveland won by 40, guys. 40. So if we do some comparative analysis here, and we assume NBA home court is worth 2.5 points, depending on where we are, that from a week ago, that would make this number 6 or 6.5 on a neutral court, which now the Bucks are home. So we might be getting a couple of points of value here on Milwaukee. Anybody who's followed this Bucks team has seen that relationship between Adrian Griffin and Giannis Antetokounmpo sour. Part of the reason why the Bucks have been so bad on defense, you've seen Giannis be very lackluster. I think we get a major, better effort tonight here and a revenge angle. The Bucks are back at home for the first time in a week. Oh, by the way, the Cavs have won 8 straight. They've covered 7 of 8. Feels like one of those good times where the Bucks guys, who have only covered 1 game in 2024, they failed to cover 10 of the 11 games in 2024. Now is the moment with the fired coach. Feels like the right time that you get a little extra effort from the Milwaukee Bucks with the revenge angle here. I think it's a good time to jump in here, take a chance on the Milwaukee Bucks here, laying the 6.5 at home against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
So Milwaukee's been consistently overvalued in 2024. You talked about what a point spread disaster that they've been.
Yeah.
Cleveland has been consistently undervalued in 2024. They're on a monster win streak. All they've done is win games and cover spreads and make money for their backers. My power rating number for the game, and I'm just double checking. Yeah, my power number for the game before the coach got fired was 2.5. Milwaukee 2.5. I didn't play the Cavs because, all right, it's a new coach fired theory. You don't play Cleveland in this game. But where do you see value on this terrible Milwaukee team that's burning everyone's backers, laying this price to a Cavs team that's on fire right now?
Well, again, let's look at this Cavs team and what they've beaten over the course of this 8-game win streak. The Wizards twice, they stink. San Antonio, they stink. Brooklyn in Paris, by the way, where they had 4 days off and 4 days after rest. They beat Chicago, one of the worst shooting teams in the league. We talked about Milwaukee without Giannis by 40. They beat the Hawks, one of the worst, if not the worst defensive team in the league. And then they catch the Orlando Magic in a game where I played Orlando at home on a very short number, thinking that, again, part of the reason was they hadn't played elite level competition. They go out and they roll Orlando. Now they're in the middle of this streak here. And oh, by the way, too, Teddy, not only do they have to play Milwaukee tonight, they got to do the same thing again on Friday. So if this one doesn't hit, I may come back with the Bucks again on Friday, just out of principle, just giving you a heads up situationally. But again, I think you're going to start to see that Cleveland, for as good as they've been, haven't really had to step up in class all that much and play an elite level superstar team with what they've seen in the last 8 games. The last time they played Milwaukee back on December 29th, they lost by 8 points in Milwaukee, 119-111. So Giannis back in the lineup tonight. Milwaukee kind of want to flex their muscle a little bit, remind the little brother on the block who the big brother is.
Teddy, FB coach, wrote something so funny in the chat room. He wrote, I get so close to taking these picks until Teddy cross-examines the guy. Brilliant. Brilliant. Mark, look at that. Look at that, Mark.
See, you're doing better than I am.
54, baby. 55 in a few months.
It's worth noting, if you bet all the free plays on yesterday's show, I believe you won every one of them. So
including a 3-0 presidential address. So
and
let's get those likes
winner.
up, guys. If you want another presidential address today, 125 likes. Zinno St. John's money line bet. Fill us in.
Well, full disclosure, the Johnny's on my hometown team. So I try to leave the emotion out of this. But St. John comes at this game losing 3 in a row. And 2 of them they lost by a stinking point. The game in between is where Patino didn't coach on the sidelines because of COVID. Not sure if that's still a thing. And they got blown out by Seton Hall. Last time they played the game at Villanova, they won 81-71. Now, the Johnnies have a size advantage inside. They have the 4th best offensive rebound percentage in conference play to start the year. And St. John's is number 1 in conference play in 2-pointers point distribution, meaning 59% of their scoring comes from 2-point shots. They play inside. Joel Soriano, their big man, is just a beast in the middle. They take a lot of shots from the elbow. You know, this is not a team that lives and dies by the 3 any stretch of the imagination. So they work inside. They use their size to their advantage. On the defensive end for St. John's, they're facing a team that's making 36% of their 3-pointers and nearly 37% of the Wildcats' points, guys, come from the 3-ball. So that's the highest in the Big East. Of any team in the Big East as far as 3-point percentage, it's Villanova. But the Red Storm, top team in 3-point field goal percentage defense in the conference, holding opponents to 28% from beyond the arc. The game is going to be close. I don't doubt that, which is why I went money line here. Nova's one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country, right? Those little extra points all matter. They add up at the end of the game. You know, so when you're laying more than a possession here at 3.5, you know, it just kind of gets me on uncomfortable footing. And St. John's has got to win one of these close games, don't they? I hate saying that. I hate that narrative stuff. But they've played too many close games to not come out on top in one of these spots here. And I think the other thing, too, is one other angle I looked at this, guys, was St. John's in the first half, -1.5. You know, we've seen this thing start to happen with some of these great defensive teams. I think we saw it last night with Creighton. And I'm pretty close to the Big East as a conference that I follow a lot. But these great defensive teams, they end up playing a much better defensive second half than the first. Like it's the team can hang around for a half, and then their defense just starts to wind them down over the course of 40 minutes. And in the second half, and you start to just see the offense start to break down. I would also support a St. John's first half here, first half money line or first half -1.5. Even a good defensive team like Marquette. Over the weekend, St. John's, they led by 6 at halftime. They ended up losing the game by 1 on a last-second shot. So I think you start to see these good defensive teams really grind their opponents down in the second half, which is why I went money line with St. John's and why I would support a first-half play as well.
Mark Zinno, St. John's money line -160, or look at them in the first half -1.5/2. Mark, $5 customer appreciation day at WagerTalk.com today. What do you have to promote?
Also, will be another college basketball play coming up. Going to get one more on the NBA card as well tonight over at Wager Talk. So we got our last 2 college plays right, including last night. We hit the Western Michigan Broncos over Eastern Michigan in a game that not many talked about. But much like Adam Trigger, I went a little bit dumpster diving into one of the teams nobody knows about in college basketball. Great way to make some money there as well. So head over to WT.buzz/MZ.
Mark Zinno, everyone. Teddy covers. It is Customer Appreciation Day. It's $5 for one play. I put up an NFL 4% ATS play. I love this play. It comes with a write-up, explains all the reasons why. It is only $5. Please take advantage of that. Tell us what you're doing and give us your big game breakdown.
Well, I've got a single customer appreciation play up for $5 in NBA action for tonight. It is a blowout, an absolute annihilator. I think that game's going to be real ugly for the underdog. That being said, I also have an NFL play available for purchase. You're getting it right here, right now for free. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions and the San Francisco 49ers. Look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. Pretty much San Fran -7 across the board, total sitting at 51. And we see two teams. Let's start with this. San Francisco did not play well last week. They found a way to get the W, but obviously it was not the 49ers' A game. We'll give them credit. You know, they were the first team to make the playoffs in 13 seasons without overcoming a single second-half deficit to win a game in the regular season. Nick Bosa, after the game, we just needed a win like that. We haven't come from behind at all. San Fran has a better game in them than the one we just saw. They know how lucky they were to survive and advance. I don't know that Detroit has a better game than the one we just saw. And Detroit didn't even play that well in either of their two playoff victories. They got outgained by the Rams, 7.7 yards per play to 6.1. They got outgained by the Buccaneers, 6.8 yards per play to 5.3. So outgained by a yard and a half plus in both of those games. They didn't cover in the first one. They covered in the second one only because of a missed 2-point conversion. So at home, in their best case scenario, Lions struggling to cover numbers, getting outgained by opponents that aren't necessarily better than they are. Detroit with injuries on the offensive line, big injuries. Ragnow's hurt. He's supposed to play. I don't know if he's going to be 100%. He had to leave the game for a while last week, and the offense stalled without him. Johnson hurt. That's an impact injury for Detroit on the offensive line, especially against a Niner team that didn't play well last week. San Fran hasn't won a Super Bowl since 1994. Steve Young to Jerry Rice for 3 touchdowns the last time the Niners won a Super Bowl. That's a hungry team. Detroit, great season. They go home on Sunday. Give me the Niners -7. There should be a game breakdown. Lawrence?
Teddy, I got a follow-up for you.
Shoot.
And it's in keeping with what you mentioned. You look at these two teams, and I know you're really big on quotes. The San Francisco 49ers, it feels to me all year long, this is business. We are a Super Bowl contender. We're going to win the Super Bowl. Business. Detroit feels like they are celebrating as if it was Y2K. Do you take that into account in your handicap?
I think advantage San Francisco.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But do you look at that in your handicap? It's not. I don't see San Fran celebrating.
No, it's but that's not a fundamental piece. As you're building a case, you start to think about it. And sure, it's part of the case that you build, but it's not a central block or anything like that. No.
Well, this just in. I got the script for the game. Kevin Dolan joining us, everyone. Kevin Dolan! It's 3 a.m. And you know what I did for you, Kev? I put you last on the show so that
I appreciate that, Prez.
Extra late. In the future, do you want to go first?
Yeah, that'd be nice. It'd be nice, yeah. But you know, I'll leave the scheduling up to yourself, obviously.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you have my word. I will put you first next time you're on. And I'll put you on. Do you want to be on more regularly? I kind of keep you on only every now and then because of your sleep situation. But I mean, you're one of the best handicappers on the planet. We'd love to have you on more regularly. You just tell me, man. You have a child. Let me tell you what I say to my kids all the time. TC. take control. So if you want to be on the show more, take control. If you want
TC
to be
is Teddy Covers.
Yeah, well, it's also some other things too. But yes,
No.
it's inspired by Teddy Covers. Kev, take control, man. Tell me what you want. I will make it work. You're the only handicapper that has written a best-selling book on handicapping. So we love having you on, bro. Okay.
I appreciate that.
You're getting only one follow-up question, and it's on this game, Memphis, Miami. Talk to us.
I'm getting no follow-up questions. I'll get that in there right now. I don't want to be grilled by Teddy at 3 a.m. But, yes, you're right.
Fine,
Memphis,
none.
Miami tonight. I like Miami to rebound at home tonight against Memphis. 3 straight losses on the bounce from Miami heading into this one. Their shooting percentage ranks 28th in the league across that time frame as well. Shooting just 43.3% from the floor on average. And their offensive efficiency numbers across that time frame have been even worse. Dead last in the league across their last 3 starts. But 2 of those 3 defeats did come on the road from Miami. Obviously, they had that game against Atlanta sandwiched in between. But this team has been much, much better at home this season than they have been on the road. 5-1 ATS in the last 6 games at home when going in as a home favourite. Their offensive efficiency numbers boost from 23rd to 15th in the league at home as well. Their shooting percentage jumps up almost 4% as well, along with their 3-point shooting percentage also, which sees an almost 5% boost from their road form. And even outside, of that dichotomy between home and road form for Miami, I always tend to gravitate towards good teams. And Miami has been a solid team this year when they're massively underperforming across recent games from the floor. And that's exactly, what Miami has been doing. They own the lowest shooting percentage in the league on last game, 37.5% from the floor against Orlando on Sunday. And we've got to remember that this is a team that has averaged almost 11% this season. So, I am expecting Miami later tonight on home court, especially offensively. And by the same token, look, Memphis, they've done really well in terms of managing that injury crisis that they're going through right now. They beat the Toronto Raptors on the road on Monday night, a sizable underdogs. But, we always see this in the NBA. Key players go out of a lineup. The team rallies for 1 or 2 games, overperform. Effect will start to wear off. Those absences will start to matter. And I think that happens tonight. So, yeah, this is a Miami team that's desperate not to equal their worst losing run of the season so far on Wednesday for me. So give me a fired up Miami. I sent this line in earlier on a couple of hours ago at -9.5. Believe it's shot up now to -10, -10.5. Still like it. I do expect Miami to dominate this game and win by double digits on Wednesday.
No follow-up for Kevin Dolan, so he doesn't get to answer if he's worried about whether Miami 2-8 AT is 4.5 or higher. That has not been their role. He can answer it if he wants to. But we'll talk about the fight, the big fight, super middleweight bout on Saturday night at the Footprint Center in Phoenix, Arizona. Munguia and Ryan for the title. Talk to me. Who do we like? Jamie Munguia? Is that right? Versus Ryder?
Yeah, Munguia. And also, Teddy, I will answer your question. I'm not worried in the slightest, so I'm glad we wrapped that up. But yeah, it wouldn't be an appearance on WagerTalk Today if we weren't talking some boxing. And this is a good fight over in Phoenix this weekend between Jaime Munguia and John Ryder. Jaime Munguia undefeated across his career so far. He has had a little bit, some questionable results along the way, though. Dennis Hogan back in 2019, I thought he lost that fight. The Sergey Deverachenko fight last time out as well. That really could have gone either way also. So he has been a little fortunate over his career so far. And it's kind of crazy also that despite that 42-0 record, it really isn't all that deep. And he's going to have to be on the ball this weekend against a very, very tough fighter in John Ryder. John Ryder is he's the epitome of a grizzled veteran at this stage. He's one of those stoic, doesn't say a whole pile types of hard men, you'd want watching your back if stuff was to go down. And he has no problem at all going into other people's backyards to prove that. He fought Callum Smith in Liverpool. We saw him last time out. I believe I covered that fight in this show. He went into Guadalajara, Canelo's hometown, and put on a really, really good display in that fight as well, especially late on, came roaring back after going down the mid-rounds. And he's like the Duracell bunny. He just keeps going. He's got a terrific engine in the ring. So this has the makings of an all-out war on Saturday. We know how Munguia is offensively blessed in the ring. He's a really, really good offensive fighter. But defensively, it's a much different story. Munguia gets tagged way too often for my liking against higher-tier opposition. And while Ryder can be a little basic sometimes in how he kind of looks to set up his shots, he does have a fantastic short right hook that, if you can catch Munguia coming in kind of recklessly here in one of those high-volume rampages of his, that short right hook could prove decisive here if he catches him clean. Ryder does carry underrated power in the ring. So I took a small sprinkle of Ryder to get the KO. I believe I got plus 540. That's a big price. I do think those odds are a little wide, given how frequently Munguia does get tagged in the ring. But similar to the Gabe Rosado fight for Munguia, I think Munguia's overall greater activity, his greater punch output, his Mexican toughness, that's going to get him over the line here. And a plus 110, while it's not the kind of odds that's going to get you, sailing the Isle of Capri in a yacht, I nevertheless think plus 110 is a solid play for Munguia to get the decision. I don't think he'll stop Ryder. Ryder's very, very tough. And I think that's the most likely outcome in this one.
Kev, I could be wrong here, but I think it's the Energizer Bunny. I don't think Duracell. However, we still need 9 more likes, guys. You have about 30 seconds. Kevin, it's $5 Customer Appreciation Day. What do you have going for your clients?
Yeah, we got an NBA best bet total up for tonight for $5. Prez 12-6 running NBA totals across the last 18. So good time to jump on board. Outside of that, also want to mention that the Six Nations kicks off next week also in rugby.
Yes.
We had a terrific recent Rugby World Cup to cap off last year. We had almost just shy of 70% across that tournament as a whole. Crazy numbers. And Six Nations should be no different. Kicks off Friday the 2nd of February. Runs all the way through until the 16th of March. So we already have a rugby all access pass listed up on our page right now. That includes, all rugby, ton of club competitions, European Champions Cup and so on going on right now. But before the Six Nations kicks off next week, in particular, I look to get a tournament specific package just for
money line, round robin, only 3s and 4s. We'll see you all tomorrow. Pleasure doing this show today. Teddy, take us home.
Enjoy the games and best of luck with all your bets. We'll see you tomorrow right here on WagerTalk Today.